Hi students, a very pleasant and warm greetings to you all. We have learned about the DBMS in the last class. Let's see the continuation of that.
Now we are going to see about keys. Okay, first one is primary key. It is given as primary key in the old book. In your new books, they have given us key. Okay, the primary key we can say it is key also. Okay, the candidate key that is chosen to perform the identification task is called the primary key. Okay, there is a key which is chosen to perform the identification task. We'll say it as primary key. Okay, and all the other keys will say it as alternate keys. Okay, every tuple must have by definition a unique value for a primary key. Okay, every primary key will have a unique value for it, and then the primary key is a combination of more than one attribute, which is called the composite primary key. Okay, when a primary key has more than one attribute, we will say it as composite primary key. Okay, next one is foreign key. Foreign key is the copy of a primary key is called as foreign key. Okay, this foreign key is a copy of the whole of its parent primary key. Okay, this usually do not have to be unique. It can be null also. Null means nothing will be inside it, right? Like that also this foreign key can be, or it can have values, or sometimes it won't have values. Sometimes it will have unique values, and sometimes it is not necessary to have a unique value. It can have the same value of another key also. Okay, that is foreign key. Next one is super key. Super key means an attribute or a group of attributes which is sufficient to distinguish every tuple in the relationship from every other one. Okay, when you have tuple means what we saw, tuple is a row. In a row we have attributes. It may be a group of attributes or a single attribute. Okay, here this will be sufficient to distinguish every tuple. That means we can distinguish one from another. Okay, that is super key. Next, we are going to see composite key. Okay, a key with more than one attribute to identify the rows uniquely is known as composite key. Okay, this composite key we can say it is compound key also. Okay, a key with more than one attribute to identify rows uniquely. In a table, we'll have many rows, right? Using this composite key, it with the more than one attribute, we can identify the row uniquely. Okay, next we are going to see ER model. ER model is the concept of database design, and this model consists of a collection of entities, that is the objects, the real world objects. Okay, where each of these entities will be interconnected with each other. One entity will be depending upon the another, and the next entity will be depending upon the another. Likewise, the entities will be depending upon each other. That is ER model. ER model. Okay, in the ER model, the basic concept have three types. First one is entity or entity type. We can say it as entity or entity type. And the next one is attributes. The concept in the ER model are entity, attributes, and relationship. Okay, these are the general concepts which come in the ER diagram or in the ER model. Okay, first let's see what is entity or entity type. Entity can be anything in the real world. Okay, it may be an object, it may be animation, or it may be an image, or anything which can be identifiable, which can be identified by anyone. If you see an object, you will find this is an object, right? Likewise, if a common man can identify that, that is called as entity. Okay, here they have given a box called employee and manager. When you see this box itself, we can find that this is for of a company. Here is a manager, here is an employee, so that it is identified by a common man also, right? So this is entity, and this entity is represented in a rectangular box. Okay, in this entity we have three types. First one is strong entity, weak entity, and entity instance. Okay, strong entity means this entity will not depend on any other entity. Okay, it will have a unique ID which the other IDs will not have. Okay, in their attributes they will have different IDs, right? So this strong entity will have an ID which no other entities will have. Okay, this is also represented by one rectangle. Okay, this weak entity will depend on other entity. In this strong entity does not depend on any other entity. Okay, this is the main difference between strong entity and weak entity. Strong entity does not depend on other entity. It is strong, right? Weak entity will depend on other entities, and hence it is called as weak entity. When you see this diagram, you can say, see this mark. This is given as a weak entity because if there is exam and if there is a subject and if they find that pass or fail only, you can determine this marks, right? So this marks depend on exam and this mark depend on subject. This marks depend on fail or pass. So this marks depend on this exam subject pass and fail. So this is a weak entity. Okay. And next one is entity instance. Instance means it is like a example or the values of the entity. Okay. Here in this table, if you see, here we have in entity and instances. Entity in the sense, if you say colors as the entity, you will say red, blue, green. These are all the instances. Okay. Here they have given human means male and female are the instances. Animals means what are the instances? Dog, cat and all instances. Okay. Can you understand the difference between strong entity, weak entity and entity instance? Yeah, right. Then the next one is attributes. Here, attribute is the information about the entity which will describe, quantify, qualify, classify and specify an entity. Okay. Quantify is nothing but it is like a quantity. We have to determine how much is there, how much quantity it is there, or we can classify it into 2 or 3. It will have a specified entity. Okay, this attribute will always have a single value. Okay, that value will be a number or a string or a character. Okay, let's see the types of attributes. The types of attributes are key attribute, simple attribute, composite attributes, single valued attribute, multi-valued attribute. Okay, first let's see what is key attribute. Key attribute means it describes a unique characteristics of the entity. Okay, in the entity if it has a unique character, we'll say it as key attribute. Okay, next one is simple attribute. Simple attributes means it cannot be separated. It will have a single value for their entity. Okay, now let's see this diagram. Here we have employee and employee will have a name. In the name it will have first name and last name. Okay, so this is a single attribute. It cannot be separated and it will be having a single value. It is an employee. That employee will have a name and that name will have first name and last name, right? So this is a single attribute and it is known as simple attribute. Okay, then the next one is composite attributes. Composite attributes means it can be subdivided into simple attributes without changing the meaning of the attribute. Okay, in this diagram, if you see, it is given as employee name, first name, last name, right? In this, if you consider this first name and last name, it can be subdivided, right? It can be divided and it can be taken as two attributes also. You'll say my name is Janisha Immansi means sometimes if someone asks my name, I'll say only Janisha or I'll just say Immansi. So this can be subdivided and given it as a different single name also, right? So this is known as composite attributes. Composite attributes can be subdivided into simple attributes without changing their meaning. If you say Janisha or Immansi, it denotes to me, right? So that is what these composite attributes are. Even if you divide it, the meaning will be same. Okay. Next one is single valued attributes. Single valued attributes means it will have only one value for the attribute and it cannot have multiple numbers or it cannot have any other extra values. Okay. If I ask your age, you will say one age only, right? If you ask my age, I'll say my age. If I ask your age, if you are saying 15, 16 means it is your age. We can't say you are 5 or 15, right? You are not having any other choice. You will have only one attribute. That is single valued attribute. Multi-valued attribute means it has more than one value for a particular attribute. Okay. If you ask my degree, I'll say I have completed BE and ME. So I have 2 degrees, right? Likewise, multi-valued means I will ask, what are the exams you have written? You will say half-yearly exam, quarterly exam. So you will have many values. So that is multi-valued attributes. Understood? And the next one we are going to see is relationship types. Relation in this ER model, relationship exists between two entities. Okay, 3 types of relationships are there. First one is one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, many-to-many relationships. Okay. First, let's see what is one-to-one relationship. Let's consider there are 2 entities, A and B. Okay. This is one-to-one relationship. And here, the relational, in this relational database design, if 0 or 1 are the instance of entity A. And this is associated with 0 or 1 of the entity B. Okay. B will have one instance, A will have one instance. They both will be associated. So this is called one-to-one relationship. Okay. One-to-many means, here also let's consider we have 2 entities, A entity and B entity. One-to-many in the sense, entity A will have one instance and entity B will have more than one instance. That means it will have many instances. That is one to many. Then the next one is many to many. From that word itself you can say entity A will have more than one instance and entity B will have more than one instance. That means many to many relationship. Okay, have you got a clear idea on this relationship types? One to one to many and many to many. Okay. Next, we are going to see relationship instances. Okay, in this relationship instances, each instant of the relationship between the members of this entity types. For example, I'll say, I am working, right? We'll say entity works for. Okay, we'll take this works for, and I can say, I am a computer teacher, and another one ma'am is there, right? I will say, we'll take Jenny and Imansi. Jenny works for computer science department. Imansi works for computer science department, right? Likewise, we'll have each instant of a relationship between the members of this entity types. Okay. For all the entities, we have to have the same relationship. Okay. If this works for is a relationship between the employee entity and the department entity, this works for will be common for every entity. Understood? This is relationship instance. Okay. And the next one we are going to see degree of relationship. In this degree of relationship, the number of entity types involved are, we'll say 1 as unary, 2 binary, 3 is ternary. Okay. For example, one employee of an organization acts as a manager and some other employees are also there. It is connected as one entity to itself as a loop. Okay. So manager of is a unary. That means one manager will be there and employees will take work for department. Employee work for department. So connects 2 entities is a one entity is connecting manager of this Jenny is the manager of this company. That means it can connect one, it will come only once. So that is one entity. Okay. And if it connects 2 entities, then it is binary. If the customer purchase item, it involves shopkeeper and also it is ternary relationship. Okay, understood? 1 means unary, 2 binary, 3 ternary. Okay, next we are going to see cardinality. Okay, cardinality means it is defined as the number of items that must be included in a relationship. Okay, that means the number of entities in one set mapped with the number of entities in the another set. Okay, this we can say it through the relationship also. Okay, this we will consider 3 classifications here: one to one, one to many, many to many, as we saw in the relationship types. Okay, when you see this diagram, you will get an idea of this. One person is there, right? That person drives vehicle. Okay, here in this above example, we have 2 entities. That is, entity will be denoted in rectangle box, as I said you earlier. Person and vehicle are represented in rectangle box. So person and vehicle are entities. If we consider the current vehicle, the driver is operating that. So then we have one-to-one relationship. Okay. And another one is there one-to-many. For one-to-many, in this diagram, they have given customer and order. Customer, order. That means one to many, right? How many customers will be there? Many customers will be there and one shop, right? So the order is related to only one customer. Order we can give it for one customer. So that is one to many. Okay. And the next one, this is cardinal relationship many to many. Okay. This cardinality relationship means for student and course we are taking as entity. In this example, a student can register for more than one course, right? And a course can be registered by many students. That is many to many. Many students will be there, many courses will be there. So that is many to many. Okay, understood? Next, we are going to see about ER diagram. Okay, this ER diagram presents the data visually on how they are related to each other. Okay, for entity, we have a separate representation. Attributes means we have studied already, right? For entity, it will be denoted in rectangle. That one only, this is ER diagram. Okay, this entities, attribute, relationship, all these components together forms the ER diagram. Okay, before seeing the ER diagram, we'll see the notations in the ER diagram. Okay, what are the notations and what does it represent and the components. Okay, let's see this diagram. Here, entity strong. We have seen it already. For strong entity, a simple rectangular box. Okay, how the strong entity is denoted? By a simple rectangular box. Can you see the student, the first notation there in this diagram? That is strong entity. Okay, if it is weak entity, it will be represented by double rectangular box. Can you see the double rectangular box here? That is weak entity. Okay, and the strong and weak, did you find the difference? If it is a single rectangular box, it is strong entity, right? And if it is a double rectangular box, it is weak entity. Okay, and the next one is relationships. Relationships are represented as rhombus symbol. Okay, this is a strong one and it is represented by rhombus symbol. This rhombus symbol, can you see this? The third notation, that is relationships. Okay, this rhombus symbol denotes the relationship. And the next one is the relationship between the entities will denoted as what? Double rhombus. Okay, the rhombus within the rhombus, that is weak. And in the entity we saw weak has double rectangle and the strong entity has single rectangular box. Same way in this relationship also, if it is strong, it will be represented as single rhombus symbol. If it is weak, it will be denoted as double rhombus symbol. That is rhombus within the rhombus. Okay. And the next one is attributes. Attributes means it is denoted with ellipse symbol connected to the entity. Okay. Attributes are denoted by ellipse symbol. Can you see the age there? That age is the attribute to the entity student. Okay, student's age we are calculating. That is attribute, right? So the ellipse symbol connected to the entity is the attributes. Okay, that age is the attribute in this entity of student. Understood? The next one, key attribute for entity. Underline the attribute name inside the ellipse. That is key attribute. We have studied key attribute, right? That key attribute will be represented when the attribute will be in ellipse. Inside the ellipse, that name is underlined means it is key attribute. Understood? And if the derived attribute for entity means it will be denoted in dotted ellipse. Understood? Inside the main ellipse, we will have a dotted ellipse. Then that is derived attribute for entity. Can you understand the difference? And we have another one, multi-valued attribute for entity. That means we'll have an ellipse inside an ellipse. We'll say it as double ellipse. Understood? See, derived attribute means we saw one dotted lined ellipse inside the main ellipse. If it is multi-valued attribute for entity, then it is double ellipse. One ellipse will be inside another ellipse. Okay? If the A word inside the ellipse is underlined. What is it? It is key attribute. Understood? Understood the difference between key attribute, derived attribute and the multi-valued attribute? Now see this diagram. When you see this diagram, you can find what is the relationship entity and normal entity, strong entity, weak entity, attributes and all you can find out, right? If you see that pink ones, pink have and all that are, what are they? These are Robust means we saw it as relationship, right? And the parent, student, admin, these are all entities. And the things in ellipse, what are they? What are they? They are attributes, right? Are you clear? Now let's see an example for this. Here in this ER diagram, they have given a school management system. Can you see that? That parent, student, admin, teacher, class and subjects. And the attributes of these entities are given below, right? For parents, we have name, ID, first name, last name. And for students, ID, name, first name, last name. For teacher, name, ID, phone number and address. Okay. The relationships that exist between the entities are parent have students, admin enrolls student, admin hires students, admin adds subject, teacher teaches subject, teacher is assigned to class. Key attributes are will be listed with underline, right? When you see this diagram, you can understand parents have students. Can you see parent and students? In between that one relationship symbol is there. Can you see that pink one? That is having have. And another one. Admin enrolls students. Admin hires teacher. Can you see that? If you see that, you can understand clearly. The relationship is between two entities, right? You have to put the two entities first and last, and it is one to one means one to one relationship. One to many means one to n relationship. Many to many means many to many, n to n relationship. Okay, can you find this in this example? And did you see the key attributes there? Did you see any key attributes there? Just check this down, and from your knowledge, what all you can write, you just write it down. Okay, parents have students, admin enroll students. Likewise, you write the entities and the relationship you can see in this diagram. Understood? Okay, are you clear with this database and this ER model? Now we are going to move to MySQL. Okay, in this MySQL only you are going to do your practical and also listen carefully from the first itself. Okay, now we are going to see the introduction of MySQL. Okay, MySQL. SQL you all would have heard. Have you heard the word SQL? SQL means, anyone knows the abbreviation for SQL? It is structured query language. Okay, SQL is not a database. Till now we have studied about database, right? And this is different. This is little different. Structured query language is the SQL. Okay, first let's see what is MySQL. MySQL is a database management system which is found by Monty Weidenus. And why it is given as MySQL? That one man found this, no, Monty Weidenus. His daughter's name is My. So in that name he has named that SQL as MySQL. Are you clear? The clear definition is given here. You can just, this is very important topic. Listen carefully and take notes also. Okay. If you have many, you will have many photos in the gallery, right? So gallery is a collection of photos, and this gallery acts as a database, right? Likewise, here in this SQL, as I said you before, structured query language. SQL is a structured query language. This is not a database, but it is a standardized language which is used to access the database and the data are processed. Okay, a database will have so many contents. The database will have so many informations. Using this SQL, using this structured query language, we'll be writing the codes and you will be accessing the content which is inside the database. Can you understand what is SQL? The SQL is a structured query language which is used to access the database, and the data which is inside the database will be processed using this language. Okay, this what structured query language. Okay, and this is why this SQL is used. Using this SQL, we can efficiently do this process, okay? And this SQL always refers to the current version, and the current version is 2003, okay? This SQL, the current version of this SQL is 2003, okay? Then next we'll see the MySQL. MySQL is the open source software that allows managing relationship database, okay? Some database will have some relational, okay? This relational databases will be managed by this open source software. What is the open source software? This MySQL, okay? It also provides the flexibility and change the source code as per the needs, okay? We can change the codes and we can make the data to be processed. Understood? This MySQL allows us to change the codes as per our need, and we can do the process in the data which is stored in the database, okay? It runs on the multiple platforms. That means we can run this MySQL on a Mac or on Windows. Normally we'll use Windows, right? Windows 10, Windows 7 and all. In this Windows operating system also we can use this MySQL. In the Linux operating system also we can use this MySQL, okay? This is scalable, reliable and fast. If you use this MySQL, we can just enter the language, using the language we can just give the codes and we can just process the data. We can access it very fastly, okay? So we can prefer this MySQL when you do this database management system, okay? So today what all we have seen? We have seen about database management system, right? In this database management system, we have seen the evolution of database management system, and then we have seen the database management system concept. What are the concepts? Acid properties. Acid means atomicity. Then I stand AC, right? C stands for consistency, I for isolation, and D for durability, right? And then we have seen database management system database models, right? What are the models? Hierarchical database model, network model, relational model, and object-oriented database model, right? And then we have seen relational database management system and the basic relational database management system concept and RDBMS jargons. And then in that we have seen what is database, the columns, rows, and about the tables. And today what all we have seen? We have seen about key, normal primary key and foreign key. We have seen super key and composite key. And at last we have seen ER model, right? ER model, and then ER modeling based concept. What are the concepts in the ER model? Entity or entity type, attributes and relation. Under entity we have seen three types of entity. What are they? Strong entity, weak entity, entity instance, right? And then in entity instance also we have seen some examples, and then we have seen attributes. What are the attributes we have seen? Key attributes, simple attributes, composite attributes, single valued attributes, and multi-valued attributes, right? Do you remember key attributes, simple attributes and all? Just take your book and make sure you read it and take notes in your note, okay? Then it will be very, very useful and easy when you learn for the last exam, okay? If you want, you can just take a pencil and underline the key points in the book also, okay? Next, what all we have seen today? Relationship types, one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, and many-to-many relationship. And we have seen relationship instances, degree of relationship, cardinality. In cardinality also we have seen one-to-one relationship, one-to-many and many-to-many relationship. And at last we have seen ER diagram. Do you remember the ER diagram? Entity strong, simple rectangular box. Entity weak means double rectangular box. Relationship, rhombus. Relationship between entities are weak means double rhombus. A rhombus within the rhombus. Attributes means ellipse. Key attributes means the words inside the attribute name inside the ellipse will be underlined. Derived attribute for entity means a dotted ellipse will be inside the ellipse. Multi-valued ellipse means double ellipse. Okay, are you all clear in this ER model? And today we have just started about MySQL. We'll see it in the next session. Okay?
Thank you for your valuable time. Stay home, stay safe, take care.